Well, good afternoon and welcome back again, Realty Pros. Today, as promised, we are continuing our discussion with regards to farming. So geographic farming. Over the last couple trainings, we've talked about what your interests are, what your area of interest is, your demographic, the type of homes that you'd like to target within that area. And then I challenged each of you to tell me what your farm area would be. Then to go to the MLS and then take a deep dive into that area so that you would know the specifics as it pertains to the demographic within that area, the housing prices within that area, so that we can go ahead and have your marketing pieces to go out to specific demographics. I asked just before we began if anybody would like to add anything from the last 2 weeks. Now that we have begun our recording, as always, it is interactive. You guys can unmute yourself if you have anything that you'd like to add. Feel free to unmute, raise your hand, put something in the chat. These will be recorded for you guys so that you will have them at for your convenience on Porterhouse International Realty Group's YouTube channel. Is there anybody that would like to add anything from the last couple of weeks from what we've discussed on Realty Talks, or as a follow-up to any of the homework that you've done since then? Take a pause there. If anybody'd like to add, go ahead and unmute yourself. All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
And this is relating to the short sales and foreclosure or the moratoriums. Do you know if they have been lifted as yet, as far as a date that they're planning to lift that, or has it already been done?
So it was done. It was done at a point. Now, we are not 100% sure what the administration is doing, if they're rolling it back because of the spike that we're seeing with this variant. So we're waiting, because there was a point at which the moratorium was being lifted, and that was coming up this fall. But I know that there's been some talk as to whether or not that was going to be extended. So we don't know for sure as of yet what that's going to look like.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Now, let me ask a question, and just candidly, who's had a chance to go to Bright MLS and look at the information within their farm since our last week's discussion? If you have, let me know what you found. All right, Aurelia, you said that you wanted to go ahead and add your farm area and the zip code.
Yeah, I want to specifically do the area where I am, and that is Fort Washington.
Okay.
I know you, and I guess my starting point would be to see what communities are within this area for Fort Washington. Clinton is also the next town over to Fort Washington, so I was considering those two areas. But Fort Washington would be my main focus.
Okay. So in terms of your farm area, there's some things that you're going to want to know. Okay. So of course, the area, the zip code, Fort Washington, that's going to be 20744.
And 2073 is 20744 and 20735 for Clinton.
Okay, got it.
So those are the two.
So what we're going to do to start, we're going to start with just one. And then once you've mastered that one and you have all of your marketing automated to the point where now you can add something else, then you can add another one and move forward like that. Okay. But for the sake of beginning your farm, we're going to start with just one. Okay.
That's good. Okay.
Now, that being said, we talked about before that we have various options for choosing a farm area. You can choose the area where you live, or you can choose an area that you spend a lot of time in, or for the sake of your marketing pieces, if there's an area that you've done a lot of business and you can show a track record in that area, then you can also choose that area. But you have to make a selection, because as we've discussed over the last couple of weeks, your farm is going to be the area that you are going to hyper focus all of your marketing to, right? So as we know, when you have a listing or a sale, you're going to market to those areas also, but your farm is going to be that area that you're going to send out multiple mailers per month and you're going to commit to a minimum of a 6-month campaign within that farm. So we want to take a look at specifically where you're willing to focus your marketing dollars, because we have options, right? And we discussed this last week. We discussed some options that are going to be, options that you pay, or options that you do the legwork, if you will. Does anybody remember some of the things that we talked about last week that you can do that it doesn't cost little to nothing in order to do with regards to marketing? I'm not sure if Kerman has joined us just yet, but he was the one who asked the question in the discussion that I'm alluding to from last week. So last week we talked about mailers, right? And that's going to be something that all of us are going to do. We talked about those being the postcards, or the handwritten, or the computer generated ones that we send in the mail. We also talked about your door knockers, and we talked about going out door knocking to the communities. So there are quite a number of marketing activities that we will revisit. But I want you guys to know that there are options that are going to be an investment. And like we said, we want to make sure that you are totally comfortable and ready to invest in yourself, because this is your real estate business, right? And because you are building a real estate business, you want to make sure that you're investing in that. So I want to get us past the point where we feel squeamish when it comes to investing dollars into your real estate career, because this is your real estate business and you absolutely must invest in it. You must invest time, energy, money, seeking out information, getting education. All of those things are investments into your real estate business, okay? So we are going to talk over the next couple of weeks about what exactly the marketing strategy looks like, because they're going to be mailers as we further dissect what each of our geographic farms are. They're going to be mailers that you'll choose from so that you have a series, because as we discussed, it's much more than just sending out 1 or 2 mailers. That's not the way that marketing works. It's going to be multiple mailers, per month. And that's going to be over a period of time. And if you commit to that, then you are absolutely going to see a return on your investment, to the point where you're likely going to need to start a team. But I want to make sure that I just revisit some of that information that we've talked about from the last couple of weeks. Okay. So one of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to go to Bright MLS, and we're just going to go ahead and dive into the information that we went over, so that you see exactly how you need to start researching the area that you're choosing as your geographic farm. Because you have options, you have the option to choose the area you live in and everything else I just said. We want to make sure that your choice is one that works well in terms of numbers. And there's something that we mentioned last week, which will determine whether or not the farm that you've chosen is an actual good farm. And that thing was, what is the turnover like? First of all, how many homes are in that area? And what is that turnover like, right? So we have Bright MLS so that we can look at the market and see how active your market is. Because as we talked about, if you choose an area that it has absolutely gorgeous homes, and this is the dream community, and you see that only, 2 homes in that community sell per year, they may be of great value, but is that worth your marketing dollars? And is that worth your efforts to focus or hyper focus in that area? It's based on, what your goals are. That being said, we talked about having a mark or farm area that has a minimum of 500 homes. If you got 750 to 1,000 in that area, that's going to be great. 500 is at the minimum. And then we talked about turnover. Okay. A couple weeks back, Angela mentioned turnover from the perspective of, I'm not sure if it was condos. Angela, you're on the call. You can say whether or not it was condos or whatever it was, but it spoke to the point that we were making as it pertains to what does the turnover look like in the farm area that you're choosing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and take us to the matrix so that we can take a look at how we're going to look into our farm area. And Aurelia, because you told us yours just now, I'm going to go ahead and put in 2077, or well, 20744. And let's just take a look at that market, 20744. Okay.
So we're going into
Mhm.
Okay,
So we're going to take a look and see how active that market has been just within the last 6 months, okay?
okay.
And we have not chosen any house type just yet, but we're just taking a look at what this market activity is. And we see that you guys can see at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there have
Mhm.
been 672, let's include cancel and let's include temporarily off market as well. 723 homes have been on the market within the last 6 months in that area.
So that's pretty good, right?
That's a very active market and that's great, okay?
Okay.
So
Okay.
let's know this, that when you start adding filters, your search result is going to be decreased and that's normal, but this is going to help you to hone in on your marketing. So you say, okay, well, I'm looking in 20744, I'm looking for a detached, at least you might say 2 levels, be simple. What's your target? 4+ bedrooms,
Oh, okay, so that's so used to,
2+
okay.
bathrooms, attached garage. Okay. You see how as we add filters and layers to our search, our results are going to be reduced, but this is telling us what the market activity is now. Okay. That being said, all of these homes here, of course, these are not the homes that you're marketing to, with the exception of those, and I'll go back so that you can see the status over here, with the exception of those that are expired and canceled. The ones that are expired and canceled, you are able to market to those, right? The ones that are still with another brokerage, you are not to market to those. But anything that's on this list that has expired or was canceled, you can absolutely market to those sellers, okay? So if we were to take a look within your market, Aurelia, and we say, okay, well, within the last 6 months, we're looking at everything that has expired, everything that was canceled, I might want to remove some of these filters so you can kind of get more homes, but it depends on what your goals are. So let's just say if I wanted to remove some of these filters. All right. Looking at these results here, these are 10 sellers that I can market to right now within that
Okay.
20744 zip code, okay? Because these have expired up here and then these have been canceled. So of course, you want to make sure you do your due diligence to open it up and look and see what that listing expiration date was for those that were canceled. The expired, you know, already have expired. Just take it a step further and plug it into Bright just to make sure that they haven't already relisted. If they have, you move on to the next home, but this is how you can easily find homes within your farm area to market to. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Does anybody have any questions about anything that we've done so far? Okay, so now what we're going to do, you know how I said, let's take a look to see how many homes are within the area that you're choosing. And last week also, we talked about some areas, I believe it may have been Kermon who was saying that his 20721 is such a large area. So then we talked about choosing subdivisions, because you're going to have some areas that are going to be, you know, they're going to have a whole lot in terms of volume. You may have a community that has, or a zip code that has thousands of homes. So how are you going to choose a subdivision? And when you choose the various subdivisions, how will you know how many homes are going to be available, right? So there are a couple ways that we can do that. So this is a different type of search. This is a public record search. So Aurelia, because we used yours, we'll say 20744, and this is where we're searching in Fort Washington. And let's see if we were to choose everything residential. If we were to choose bedrooms, 4+ bedrooms. Now, notice with Bright, did you see how when I put in bedrooms right there, it took me down to 0? Sometimes less is more on this system. You can never really tell. Sometimes it'll be fickle because this search option should allow me to choose the number of bedrooms right there, but it didn't. So we're going to pay attention to that, because if it takes away your options, then you're simply going to remove that as a filter. Okay, let's just look and see what else we want to choose here. Garage space is 2+. Interesting. Took us down to 0 too. Okay, that's interesting. But what we've done is, let's see, everything from you got to play around with it and see which filters are going to give you some options. We put year 1990 plus. We put annual tax 6,000 plus. Because some of these filters are going to be a little bit fickle there, figure out which ones are going to work well for you. With the annual tax, you can pretty much choose houses in certain price points, because you know if it has an annual tax of $6,000, that it's going to be your higher price range. Let's choose something that has an annual tax about $8,000 in that price range. Either way, you have over 500 matches here. So the purpose of the exercise that we're doing is we're looking at our geographic areas that we've chosen to determine whether or not it's going to be a good farm. And the indicators that we talked about is how active is that market? Not only how active is that market, how many homes are available in that market? So as we can see right here at the bottom, we have over 5,000 homes as matches within 20744. Okay, that were built 1990 and up. And the last search that we did, we had over 700 homes that were active within the last 6 months. So that provides a tremendous opportunity, because we can add filters and layers to reduce that number, because you may not be ready to start marketing to 5,000 homes yet, and that's totally fine. My recommendation is 500 to 1,000, okay? And that's where you're going to continuously market. And that's where you'll have to choose. That's one of the reasons why we say start with one area in particular, not because we don't want you to market to a broad audience. We absolutely want you to, but we want you to be laser-like in your focus, because this is going to require commitment. It's going to require commitment. It's going to require your financial contribution over time to invest in your real estate business. So that being said, you see how many homes we have available there, right? So we want to be sure that you guys are very sober in your consideration of what those marketing dollars are going to look like for the amount of homes that you want to target within your farm area. So let's keep those things in mind. Okay, does anybody have any questions about that thus far?
No. That was pretty good.
All right. Perfect. All right, so let's see. So we can go back. Is everybody comfortable with doing a search from Bright? Let me know how you guys feel with the search feature in Bright. So we have residential sale. We can look that up here. We have your public records that we can look up. So as you're researching your farm area, you should be looking at the residential sale as well as the public records, right? Because your public records, that's going to show you all of the houses that are in your farm area. Whereas your residential sale is going to show you those that have been actively on the market, entered into Bright MLS. So those are two different search options, but both are going to be necessary for you to become acquainted with your farm area. Okay. That being said, we're going to look at our farm area too. And what did you need to determine? You needed to determine what your value was in your farm area also, so you know how to market to them, right? We talked about that a couple weeks ago too. What price point do you want to look at? And that is your choice. You're going to notice that in certain price points, you're going to have more turnover than in other price points. And you've got to decide what your strategy is going to be. Are you going to market to the higher price point? Are you going to market to the price point that has the highest turnover? Let's talk about that. What are your guys' thoughts as it pertains to price point and turnover? Porterhouse, I know we are not shy. You guys must be occupied because we are very quiet today. What is happening?
We're looking at my farm area, trying to figure out what the answers to your questions are.
Yeah, I was getting
That's
ready
good
to
to know.
make that same comment. I would have to look at it overall to see what's most advantageous, because it could be either one.
Mhm.
Even though the highest price, of course, you get more commission out of the higher price, but that may not always be, depends on your market and your farm area. That may not be the best way to go if you have more opportunities with the what's selling in the market.
Okay. Thank you
I'm
both for
driving.
sharing.
I'm driving.
No excuses, Curtis. You can talk. You can talk while you drive. You don't have to look. No, I'm just kidding. Be safe by all means. But what are your thoughts and your considerations with what we've discussed thus far? What would you like to see us cover within this topic? Because I want to make sure that you guys are comfortable.
Highest price point.
Everything that I've been hearing, it's very allows us to be very detailed specific for whatever farm area we want to go after. And then it's just a matter of setting up your marketing campaign and starting to mail information to that neighborhood.
That's right. And I heard somebody say highest price point. Was that you, Aurelia?
Yes.
Okay. Let's take a look, and we still have your zip code chosen, Aurelia, because you gave us yours today. So if we were taking a look so that we can get some insight into your market, this is what you would do, okay? So we have chosen 20744. In terms of the status, we're looking at everything that's closed within the last 6 months, right? We're looking at least 4-bedroom. How many total baths? We're going to say at least 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms there within your market. Be simple, detached, at least 2 stories there with a basement, attached garage. Do you want to say above grade finished square feet of at least 3,000? Nope, that's going to take away our option. So we will leave that out of this search. All right, so we have property condition of excellent, very good. And now look at our results, okay? And this is going to fill in the blanks for us when you heard me say, okay, we need to know our market and know what that looks like, right? Dee said, okay, I'm taking a look at, the Bright MLS information now so that I can answer these questions. This is what we're going to do so that we're prepared for that. You see how I put in all the search features? And you're going to see various prices there, right? This is within your subject area, Aurelia. This is right in Fort Washington. So everything that's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom or more single family home within that area, 2-car garage and everything else that I plugged in with those filters, these are the homes that have sold within the last 6 months, right? So now you can take a look at your farm area and you can become more acquainted with your data and say, okay, within my Fort Washington farm, this is my price point. Okay, this is my price point, and you're going to see that there is a range. Okay, there's a price range, as you can see. Smaller homes there, you see those values. So let us put, if we were to go back and say, if you said you wanted to look at everything that was in the highest price point, is that what I heard you say, Aurelia?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's what you wanted to do, remember as we were looking at various filters, to see, okay, well, first of all, some of them are a little fickle with Bright, but that's okay because we're going to play around and see which ones will give us the results that we're looking for. But here are some indicators if you wanted to take a look at everything from, let's see, $475,000 up, or whatever your price point is. The goal is for you to not limit yourself, but make sure that there are enough homes within the area that you've chosen so that you can get turnover, okay? So let's take a look. That being said, you need to also be able to speak to the values. You need to be able to speak those details and the data, right? So let's take a look on, let's see. We have everything from price point, square footage, the style of the home. So if you're looking in Fort Washington, you need to pay attention. Okay, well, if it's a split level, you're going to do a market analysis. And that's why I have pulled this information so that you will know how to do a market analysis for your farm area, because this is how you're going to be able to, you know, become that market expert and be able to speak to it. So you see everything there from style, bedrooms, bathrooms, and everything else within your farm area. You need to pay attention to that so that when you do a market analysis, you're able to, let's refine it. Let's go back and let's say, okay, we're going to choose a certain home type. Let's choose a style. Right. So for now, if you were looking at everything that's a colonial, or what style would you like to choose, Aurelia?
Colonial is good.
Okay, so we'll choose colonial. Let's see if we added stories, and we'll say at least 3 stories, colonial. Right, our results. And that gives us 26 results there. So you can fine tune these results as much as you would like. You can take those and then you can do a comparative market analysis. Put yourself in there. Send it to yourself. I'm not going to go through that process. You guys are familiar with doing the market analysis through Bright, correct? If there's anybody that has a question and wants me to continue down this path, just let me know now and I will.
Jasmine?
Yes. Hey,
How do you-
Angela.
Hi, how do you add square footage to your display? I'm sorry if I missed it.
You got it. Not a problem. Let's go back. So where we were, right here.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to the criteria because there's several things that are available to you guys that you can add. So you see your search options and all of your filters. So your original setting is going to have some things that are straightforward. Then you can add some buttons that Bright has not already added for you. You have the option to add or remove them so that when you open up your search field, you're going to see those. So if you wanted to add, you know, your square footage, your flooring type, closing date, I should say, you can simply add those buttons to your search filter just like that, right? And if I go down and select what I have chosen in my results, I can also add, as I come back here and look at those results, click right here. If I say, okay, I already have my square footage, but what else would I need to know? Let's take a look and see what I have. I need to look at my subdivision. Do I have that already? Let's see. Give me something that you'd like to add. Yep, subdivision, we're gonna do that. So you asked how you add the square footage. You're gonna simply click. You'll see that 4-sided arrow come up. You're gonna go to insert column. And you're gonna add your square footage. You see above grade finished square footage. Okay, so I'm also gonna put below grade or total, because this is very important when you're looking at your comps, your below grade and your above grade, because you will notice a lot of homes that are listed, say by chance, it has an above grade finished square footage of 2,800 square feet. So they will list it at 2,800 square feet, but that's not the true square footage of the home. The basement probably has 1,400 square feet as well. So you go from your 2,800 square feet and now you're adding 1,400 square feet to it. So let's make sure that we pay attention to add those and to pay attention to both of those. All right, so now you can see what's available in my home. Did that answer your question, Angela?
It did, but I think I'm missing something because I added square feet and I didn't see it appear. I'm not sure.
It
Not in my-
possibly appeared somewhere a little bit further along. So if you scroll over, and mine is going to the next or the last option. There you go. So if you scroll over, you'll see it. So I'll do it again. So you click at the bottom, the top column, you're going to see that green column. So choose a four-sided arrow. Click on insert column. So I'm going to add another one for us. I'm going to add subdivision. Okay, legal subdivision, because I actually want that to be a part of my search results. And I'm going to go to apply it there. I'm going to adjust this. All right. Now, if I want this to appear this same way every time that I come over to view my options, I'm going to move this over. I'm going to move my bedrooms and bathrooms because this is how I want it to appear. You're going to have to do it so that it makes sense to you. So what I'm going to do now is you see this little pinwheel at the top? Now that I've added the options that I want to have available in my search, I'm going to click on this pinwheel and I'm going to choose set current display. Okay, so now when I come back and take a look at these for my market analysis purposes, all of these are going to come up for me every time because I chose them, I added them, and now I've set them so that when I'm doing a market analysis, I can look at all of this information at a glance because it's essential, of course, for you to know the bedroom bathroom ratio, but it is just as important to know what that total square footage is. Your subdivision is important for you to know because in comparing like-kind properties, of course, you're going to start within the same subdivision and you move outward from there. Bedrooms and bathrooms, that's essential for you to know, and all of this information is, okay? So take a look at all that information that's available to you, and you can simply move forward with doing your market analysis from there. Questions?
Nope, that was helpful. Thank you.
You got it. And look at that, I already had it. I knew I would have added subdivision. It's just a little bit further over. So if yours does that, Angela or anybody else, just scroll over because oftentimes it'll go over further to the right. Okay. So now I have the subdivision or neighborhood and the legal subdivision. Doesn't hurt to have both of them because they're sometimes different, but you also have the age of the property. You have information pertaining to the basement. Okay, so all of that's information that you'll need in order to do an accurate comparison. All right, so there is one more that you can add to make life a little bit easier for you. As you see your square footage, but you also see your below grade square footage. Just very quickly, one thing that you can do is you can simply insert your total square footage. Okay, I'm not going to go through the process of doing that because now you guys will see exactly how to do that. All right, so now we will scroll over and let's see, you have everything that's a 5-bedroom. And let's see, move our age on over. All right, so you can do your market analysis from here. Does anybody have any questions? All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to choose some homes that are about around 3,000 square feet, right? So this one from here, just in case anybody needs a quick refresher, this one here. Everything within that range, all of those are around 3,000 square feet there. That's gonna give you a price range, so you know what you're looking at. But we're gonna pay attention, of course, to the bedroom bathroom ratio also. So for the sake of this exercise, we would remove this one because this one has 6 bedrooms and the other ones, 3 have 5 bedrooms, 1 has 4. So we could then determine which one to add. But if I was simply looking for 5 bedroom, 3 to 4 bathroom, around 3,000 square feet, above grade, and around 1,400 to 1,600 square feet in the basement, I can take a look from there, okay? So that's very brief because we go very in-depth with our market analysis. But this is for the sake of your farming, guys. You need to pull this information together and know your farm area. Does anybody have any questions thus far?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so once we pull this all together to know our farm areas, then what's the next step? I mean, is this how you kind of gonna, because I don't know what do you do after you determine that?
So that's a very good question. Before I get there, I wanted to point out one more thing. So you
Okay.
know how we were talking about the activity within the market?
Mhm.
So now what I've done is I've arranged this according to the subdivision so that you can take a look on the right and see that some subdivisions are more active than others, right? And this could just be within the parameters that we've chosen for that 4-bedroom plus. So if that's what you're looking at, you can look to see which of these subdivisions are more active. So you can see your Tantalian Hills is a lot more active. The Tantalian on the Potomac is a lot more active, but you have various subdivisions that offer listings as well. So you see your Gallahan subdivision, your Franklin Square, your Fort Washington Acre subdivisions, those have listings and opportunities available. But if you were looking to hone in on a specific subdivision, because we saw there were over 5,000 homes in Fort Washington and we're looking for the biggest bang for our buck. So we're honing in and focusing, narrowing down our focus to specific areas, because again, it's good to have a farm area of 5,000 homes if your marketing dollars stretch that far. If not, let's go between 500 and 1,000. And if you have to choose, okay, well, let's take a look at those subdivisions that are within my farm area that are more active than others. This is one way to start to peel back the layer so that you can see which ones are more active. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna take this one step further. And now let's just say if we were looking at everything that is 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms plus, and let's say put the year in there. Okay, so for now, I'm going to remove Colonial. Now I'm going to look at my results. And this is to help you to take a look at your farm area and determine which ones are going to provide you the most opportunities, okay? So let's go back. If you had to choose, Aurelia, so you can see which of these subdivisions are most active. So you are going to Village. Let's see. Italian Hills. Italian on the Potomac. So you see the ones that are most active. Does anybody have any questions about that and the importance of what it is that we're doing?
So yes, I see the importance of what we're doing. I was noticing that you were able to simply remove a filter, and that's one of the things that I've been challenged by. When I try to remove a filter, I haven't been able to figure it out. I always have to go back to the beginning of the criteria and start again. So how do you just remove a criteria?
Okay, simple enough. So you've seen everything that we've added thus far, and I do have it all selected. However, if I simply click the orange button to the bottom left of my screen and go back to criteria, everything that I've chosen thus far is still selected. So I can deselect or I can select that thing. Now, remember, as we saw, bright is sometimes fickle. So there are some things that you'll choose to add. And if you pay attention to your results at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you're going to see whether it gives you results, and sometimes it will zero it out. So if you see that what you've added has given you 0 results, then you can remove that very last thing so that you have options to choose from. But
So-
what you saw me do is remove one of the options. Simply deselect it.
Well, when I try to deselect, it doesn't deselect. So is there something you have to do to, I click on it again, right? And then it stays there. It won't come off.
Give me a call outside of Realty Talk, Steve, because it could be the way that you're doing it, because I promise it's as easy as select, deselect. And I don't have any issues with it otherwise. So it could
Okay.
potentially be the mouse, it could potentially be the computer, it could potentially be, the connectivity, it could be any of those. But this
Okay.
is how you do it. You simply select that item or
And then,
deselect it.
okay, I get it. So I'll just have to figure it out. Thank you.
Jasmine, I have
Yes.
the same problem she has. How do you unselect detached on this screen?
Gotcha. So you see here where we have structure type, detached. I'm gonna select that again, and now it's deselected.
Okay, so I have the same problem she does. When I hit detached,
Mhm.
mine doesn't go anywhere. So I have that same issue.
You know what, guys? Press Control and then press detach. So that's what I'm doing over here. So to
Okay.
select it, you just click on it, but to deselect it, press Control and then click on it again. And it
All
should
right.
just go right off for you.
Thank you.
Got it. Did it do it for you now?
Not for mine.
When you press Control and then select it again?
Yeah, normally I do, but it didn't work.
Interesting. So it could be the device. You know how we have so many different types of computers and they all have their own little settings. But for
Right.
the computer that I have, I simply select it or hit select it or Control and select it again, and it'll remove it for me.
Okay. I'll when I have my separate mouse attached, I don't have the issue. But when I'm using my actual MacBook and I use the one that's attached, I always have that issue. And I end up starting over, or
You just raised a very important concern there. The functionality is totally different with and without the mouse. So it's
Yes.
going to allow you to do some things, but it functions differently. So I do not pretend to be a tech guru in any way. I am not a Mac guru. Mr. Porter can help you with Mac. He's been using one for very many years, but I don't pretend to be that person. I know that it works for me well when I simply click on Control, but I do have a PC, and I know that with the various computers we have, they operate a little differently there.
Well, before we move on, if anyone has a MacBook and they have that issue, if you can maybe put it in WhatsApp or something, that would be helpful.
Yeah, by all means. But it should be simple for you. I would recommend getting a mouse and plugging it in there, because we of course have multiple computers, and one of my other computers that is touch screen as well, I have to use the mouse when I'm using certain platforms, because the functionality, it'll just be a challenge without it.
Okay, I just figured it out. It's Command if you have a MacBook.
There you
Command
go.
and then click on it.
So you try that 1D and see if that one works for you.
So I have a PC and I did the Control as you suggested, and that worked. So thank you.
Perfect. You got it. So PC, Control and select, MacBook, Command, select. There we go. See? All right. Thank you for that, Angela, and thank you for the question, D. So we have only a few minutes left before we have to end for the day. So I want to open up the floor for you guys. We've talked about how to search within your farm area. Does anybody need any further clarification on anything that we discussed today? Does anybody have any feedback or further insight that they'd like to add to the conversation?
This has been a really good refresher for me. I'm glad to always do more on searching because I've been doing some searching for a while. So this has really been helpful to pick up some more pointers. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Anybody else? And I see your guys' messages in the chat. I see you, D'Amica. I see you, Joy, as well. You are very welcome. And yes, higher turnover is better there because that's going to give you more listing opportunities, D'Amica. Does anybody else have any insights that they'd like to share? Any questions? All right, so if we don't have any more questions, all of us have homework, okay? So for your farm area, each person has chosen a farm area. Go to Bright MLS and search out your farm. You've got to determine just how viable a farm area that is. So you need to know what the market activity is in your farm, and we've done an example of how you find that out today. You also need to know what the market value is for, or the range for the homes that you're going to start marketing to. You need to take a look at the public records as well so that you can see how many homes are available for your marketing, and we will take it to the next step. We've talked about the various statuses and the ones that are almost immediately available for marketing, and those that are expired and those that have been canceled. Those are some that are immediately available to you. Others, however, you'll be able to find in the public record. But all you need to do is tell us the zip code, and you need to tell us the demographics that you want to market to, and then we can take it from there. So let's go ahead, let's do our homework. And as we come back together next week, we're going to start pulling together the marketing strategies for you guys, because we already have quite a number of different campaigns for you to choose from. But we're going to talk about what that looks like for you. So your homework over this next week is to determine what your marketing budget is, okay? What your marketing budget is going to be. We need you to commit to your marketing for your farm area for the next 6 months, okay? So you're going to do a review within 90 days, 6 months. Of course, you're going to renew because you're not just going to stop it right there after you have gotten some traction. But let's take a look at what your budget is, whether that is a large budget, a modest budget, whatever that is that works for you. Then we're going to go ahead and talk about what strategies you can do within that. Some of those strategies are going to include you guys paying to have things done for you. Others are going to include you doing the legwork yourself. And that's based on what is feasible to you, and every agent's going to be at a different point, and that is totally fine. That's why we're having this conversation, because it needs to be something that's feasible and sustainable for you, okay? So do your homework, and we will reconvene on next Thursday. I'm going to go ahead and end our recording there for today, and I will hang on for further questions and discussion. But we will go ahead and officially end our Realty Talk video. For those of you that have to get back to what you were doing and having a productive rest of the day, have a great day.
Mrs. Porter, I'm sorry. I have a call coming.